411 Live.
Where you can learn about issues that impact us every day. State of world, 411 Live.
Real people, real talk.
Made to help people in our community in every way. For your girl, 411 Live.
Few people like it when rates go up. At least I don't like it. But it seems like it happens every year and you just kind of get accustomed to it. So, what do? It would be nice if there was someone there that was kind of monitoring to see if those increases were warranted. Well, in Wisconsin, we are fortunate because we have the Consumer Utility Board that's got your back. Hello, everyone. I'm Beverly Taylor. This is the 411 Live. Real people, real talk. And my guest today is none other than Tom Content. He is the executive director of Citizens Utility Board. So welcome to you.
Thank you. Great to be with you.
Citizens Utility Board. It's, a lot of people probably haven't heard of this. But as they listen to this podcast, I'm sure that they will be very happy that it does exist. So let's just kind of talk about the Citizens Utility Board. It's been around for a while, right?
That's right. We'll be 45 years old next year, or this in 2024, so
Wow.
the 45th anniversary. And it was the first of its kind created in the country. So Ralph Nader, back in his consumer crusading days when he was trying to get airbags into vehicles, he was also concerned about electric utilities and a wave of nuclear power plants that were being built at the time. And his vision was to have a consumer action group in every state. And Wisconsin was the first group to take him up on it. Wisconsin ended up naming it the Citizens Utility Board. Mm-hmm. And now there are actually Citizens Utility Boards in across the upper Midwest and in Oregon and some other states. But we were the first one created, and we've been able to save customers actually billions of dollars over time. You see your rates go up, but they would be that much higher if we weren't there representing the consumers and advocating for fairness and affordability.
Okay. All right. So let's talk about you. I remember covering We Energy rate increases as an anchor reporter at Fox 6 News, and you being a reporter from the Milwaukee Journal-Sentinel. I mean, how did you take that leap to becoming the executive director?
So as I got interested in utility issues, and back when I was at the Green Bay Press Gazette, and then I came here and covered it in Milwaukee since 2003 roughly, till 2017, and I really dug into these issues, and it became something where I was looking for balance when I was doing those stories. Mm-hmm. And I would talk to the utility, I would talk to the Citizens Utility Board and their director and their representatives. And as an opportunity came up about 7 years ago, and to make the jump. And so I went from writing for the people to advocating for the people.
So what did you see as a reporter that, made you go, we need some balance, or there needs to be a voice?
Well, so utilities have a lot of power and influence, whether it's at the legislature or at the Public Service Commission, where all these decisions are made. And one thing that stuck in my mind was the profits that the utility makes, and the customers have to pay the bills for that. And if you look at the new Oak Creek coal plant that was built just over 10 years ago, there's actually a fixed profit rate for that plant for 25 years, and it's a very high profit of over 12.5%. That they're able to earn a return on that. And so I think what I saw is that there needs to be more balance between the interests of the shareholders and the financial health of the utility and utility executives and their compensation, and then the customers paying the bills.
Gotcha. So right in 2024,
yes.
First of all, I should back up because I'm talking about We Energies because that affects folks in Milwaukee, the Milwaukee area. But you guys monitor utilities
across
the state.
Yes.
So it's like, what, 5, 6? How many are we talking?
Well, it's amazing. Once you get into it, you learn more and more. But so I'm a We Energies customer. I live around here. But we represent customers across the state, including 5 big utilities, not as big as We Energies. They're the biggest in the state. But then we also represent customers for city-owned utilities. So sometimes we get involved in those cases too, like if the city of Milwaukee or Madison wants to increase the water rates, sometimes we get involved in those cases. Or if a city-owned utility like in Shawano, they have their own utility as well, and we'll represent residential customers there. We're there for the residential customers and the small business customers for fairness for those those two customer groups.
You guys are busy.
We're busy. We're a small team, and it's a very busy team.
Yeah. I think you told me 6 people, maybe?
We're 6 total. We have a 4-person regulatory team, and they were, in 2023, my team was simultaneously working on five utility rate cases involving We Energies, but also big cases involving the 2 Madison-based utilities as well as Xcel Energy way out in the western part of the state. So it's a dizzying time at times of the year as they're dealing with simultaneous deadlines,
right.
but every day trying to focus on fairness and making sure that the utilities aren't gold-plating their systems, that we're making sure that rates are affordable going forward.
Okay. So, 2024 rates in the Milwaukee areas,
right.
We Energies,
Yep.
going up like 3%?
They went up 3% January 2024, and then over the last 2 years, about 14.5%. So it's been in the fall of 2022, there was a lot of concern about the double-digit increase that was coming, and it hit. And we were concerned about that, and we were able to achieve some lower profits for the utility in that case. But come April 2024, we're bracing because we expect them to come back for more because their regular cycle of a rate increase and a rate case request would have them coming back for a bigger increase that would hit bills in 2025. So we're prepping for that right now.
Okay, so we had double digits for 2023.
Right, and then a little bit more for 2024. But then what's coming for 25 and 26? Because usually they do these cases for over a 2-year time period. So
right.
Normally We Energies is just in the even years, but they had that supplemental increase that came just at the beginning of this year.
Okay.
So there's a lot of cases at the same time.
So let's talk about it, 3%. That, for an average household, that would mean what? $4 a month?
Just under $4 a month for the typical customer.
Okay, so for you and me, that's like, I don't like it going up, but $4, I can handle that.
Right.
But there are other people who are looking at it and saying, I'm barely making it now.
Right, exactly. It's such a big difference. If you're making $5,000 a month or $10,000 a month, it's, we can swallow this, but we don't like it. But inflation, it's part of the inflationary trends. But if you're making $1,000 a month or less, or just if you're really struggling to get by, or you're unemployed, I mean, this is where the rubber meets the road. Wisconsin's rates as a whole across the country, our electric rates are the second highest in the Midwest.
Wow.
And We Energies is kind of on the high end within Wisconsin. So We Energies ranks in the top 10 of about 50 utilities across the Midwest in terms of prices. And so that's where we really have, we're excited that there's more public interest in this space because of the inflationary environment in the last few years, and the fact that there was a double-digit increase generated a lot of concern in Milwaukee and in the media too about the trends that we're seeing.
So when the rate increase, talked about the hearings or public input was asking for that, what did you hear residents say?
They said we're already struggling to get by, and how much more can we take? And that's where there's a big focus on affordability, and people who. One of the things that we did during the pandemic is we upped our game in terms of our focus on energy burden and affordability. And CUB was actually the organization that led the way in asking the state to require utilities to actually analyze the energy burden of their own customers. They hadn't been doing that. And we said there should be annual reports, annual filings about this. And so now there are those annual filings, and it shows some of what you'd expect, which is north side of Milwaukee, south side of Milwaukee. There are some real pockets of energy poverty where their energy affordability is an extreme challenge. Generally, a good energy burden is somebody who's paying less than 6% of their household income on their utilities.
Okay.
But in parts of Milwaukee and in some rural parts of the state, it can be 10%, it could be 15%, it could be more. So that's where people, and those people through the CUB doesn't have the community organizing aspect as much as some of the other groups, but Northside Rising or Citizen Action, Walnut Way Conservation Corp, they were able to bring residents to those hearings in the fall of 2023, and again in the fall of 22 and 23, to basically say that how much more can we handle? How much more can the average customer take, or the struggling customer take, especially?
Exactly, and then you have that issue whereas somebody who's on the fringes economically, and their utilities, it's disconnected because they were unable to pay.
Right.
Then to get reconnected, they have to pay hundreds of dollars, right?
Exactly. There's a reconnection requirement, and the Public Service Commission actually has a case going on right now that we hope it's going to resolve that. During the pandemic, there was CUB worked with the We Energies to create a forgiveness program, and actually it's helped about tens of thousands of customers remain connected over the last couple of years because they're able to pay a discounted rate on their bill. But if they keep making those payments every month, you can only miss one or two over 12 months. But if you do that over 12 months, you can get all those back balances forgiven.
Oh, wow. That's good.
It's called the Low-Income Forgiveness Tool. So we created it. We were negotiated directly across the table from We Energies, and they helped create this thing, this LIFT program. And now the PSC is actually, while we're talking here, they're actually analyzing that program, and as part of that analysis, they're looking closely at that reconnection fee. So we think that's going to get addressed in the coming months.
That's great. So, I mean, every time you talk about something that CUB has done, it just makes me think, man, I'm glad you're around.
Well, and that's what I said. When I first moved to Green Bay and started covering this stuff up in northeast Wisconsin, the city editor turned to me and said, you got to get the other side, call CUB. And so I was like, oh, I didn't know there was a Public Service Commission. I didn't know there was a CUB. But she knew. And she's actually a retired journalist who's a member of CUB, living in northeast Wisconsin today. So, I'm sure for you it's gratifying to be able to go up against the big guys and make a difference for ratepayers. Yeah, some days we feel like the pace of progress is too slow, but because we're there every day, we're able to think about. And talk to our consumer advocate colleagues in other states and get ideas. So every day our team is kind of fishing for what else can we do to make a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. When we talked the other day, and you were mentioning something about sometimes utilities take advantage of crisis.
Right.
What did you mean by that?
When you think about utilities, when you think about how we get it, most people don't think about how they get electricity. The electricity they get, unless it's not working.
Right.
They think they flip the switch and the lights come on, but when the lights don't come on, that's when there's a crisis. And so Milwaukee and the eastern parts of Wisconsin we didn't experience blackouts, but we experienced power shortages and calls for conservation in the late 90s. This is going back a ways. But after that became the impetus for the utilities to say and working with Governor Thompson at the time to say, we need to simplify how we get power plants permitted. We need to enable more construction of power plants. We need to do all these things. And they were able to get that pretty effectively through the legislature because there was such a concern about reliability. We are as concerned about reliability as anyway, and we're hearing complaints The city of Glendale has a complaint filed with the Public Service Commission right now about reliability, because a lot of the region experienced several days of outages in the storms that we've seen in the last few years. So we're as concerned about reliability, and we want a sound system, but we don't want a system that's overbuilt at the same time.
Gotcha.
Because if you overbuild it, the customers are paying too much, and the shareholders are getting too much. Because every time they build, our rates go up, but the profits go up. And this is a company, all these companies together, that the 5 utilities in Wisconsin. I'm going to refer to my quick notes here, but the 5 utilities in Wisconsin had a $1.3 billion of profit just in 2022 alone.
Oh my God.
And a bunch of that, was just the lion's share of that was We Energies and Wisconsin Public Service, because they're owned by the same company here in Milwaukee.
All right, let's talk. We're going to talk a little bit more about those profits too.
Sure.
But first, we're going to take a break. You're listening to the 411 Live, Real People, Real Talk. We'll be right back.
Even the mighty might not see it coming. It's prediabetes, and it captures 1 in 3 adults. But you can escape. Take the 1-minute prediabetes risk test to know where you stand and prevent or delay type 2 diabetes. Be your own hero on smartphones everywhere at doihaveprediabetes.org.
Hi. I'm your retirement fear. But don't be scared. You're still in pre-retirement.
Does that mean I have more time to plan?
Precisely. Here, this is pretirement.org.
Retirement savings options? Potential tax breaks?
Ooh,
This isn't scary. I'm doing it.
you got this.
Visit thisispretirement.org for free resources to help you customize your action plan.
Welcome back to the 411 Live. My guest today is Tom Content. He is Executive Director of Citizens Utility Board, also known as CUB, which is much easier for me to say and remember.
There you go. Yep.
We were talking about utility profits, and I want to go back to, the rate increases. So they ask for the rate increases, and they say, okay, well, we're doing the transition to cleaner energy. We're closing off the coal plant. This is it. And then later on down the road, consumers will save money. Is that kind of what's going on?
That is what's going on. The vision is to save money over time, but the challenge is we're still paying for the coal and still paying for the natural gas. So we pay diesel surcharges to get that coal from Wyoming when diesel prices go up. We have to pay to get that. The utility customers and the utility end up being billed to get the natural gas from other parts of the country to Wisconsin. So there is a switch over time to cleaner energy sources. The cost of solar has come down dramatically, more than 90% over the last 5 years. Mm-hmm. And when the sun shines, it's free. You don't have to pay for that fuel.
Right. Same
thing when the wind blows and for wind power. So that's we're banking on savings over time, and it actually is saving. It can save customers money. But the challenge is we're paying for everything at once. And so we're at this really kind of a cinch point or a tough spot in this transition where we're still paying for the coal, and they're asking us to keep paying for that while we're still paying while they're transitioning. So that's a real challenge.
So what's the solution?
So the solution that we see is to actually reduce the cost and reduce the profits on those coal plants. So our view is the utility is going to make good money, and they see green in the green energy. They see dollars in cents in terms of building more solar plants, and they're going to profit off of that. We think they shouldn't be profiting for 10 or 20 more years on coal plants after they're shut down. So in the case of Oak Creek, it's 2 power plants in Oak Creek. There's the new one that was just built. Mm-hmm. There's actually another one that was built in the 50s and the 60s that's still going. And in 2024, the first half of that plant's going to shut down. But the way it's set up now, the utility would keep profiting on that plant.
So there's no savings for us.
There's savings in operating costs because they're not going to need as many people, and there are some savings, but there should be more savings to make this clean energy transition more affordable. And so that's why we want the state. So we advocate to the Public Service Commission, and we want to see the state cut the profits on those older coal plants. And there are a couple ways of doing that. One is to just cut the profit, reduce it. But there's also another way called refinancing process called securitization. And we were able to negotiate directly with We Energies to save money when the Pleasant Prairie coal plant shut down. That was just torn down in 2022, I think. And so we saved tens of millions of dollars. Wow. Customers saved tens of millions of dollars when that shut down. But in order to, this utility has billions in the pipeline in terms of new power plants, solar, natural gas, wind, that it's planning to come in and ask to get built. So if they're going to approve all this new stuff, let's save on the stuff that isn't even needed to keep the lights on or keep our homes comfortable.
Right. So when do you go directly and try to negotiate with We Energies versus going through the PSC, the Public Service Commission, to?
That's a really good question. So it used to be this litigious process of, we're the advocate and we're demanding this, and it was just paper legal briefs and testimony going back and forth. But the legislature actually enabled settlements and said the legislature under the Walker administration passed a law that said utilities should be encouraged to settle their cases to help reduce the cost of litigating these cases. And so that's why we were negotiating across the table with the utility instead of these long, drawn-out cases. Sometimes the long, drawn-out cases are necessary because you can really open up and really peel back the onion to see where there might be areas of overspending.
Right, a lot of discovery going on.
Exactly,
Yeah.
and questions and why are you planning? Why do you have this many employees this year, but you say you're going to have this many more employees next year when you actually haven't hired that many over the last few years? Those are questions that the PSC asks because they have a staff of auditors that asks tough questions of the utilities, and then we ask questions related to their profits and other things. So it's two different ways of doing a case. And right now, the PSC chair, appointed by Governor Evers, Rebecca Cameron Vaughn, she's actually stated a preference for the traditional way of doing things versus those settlements. And so the last couple, so actually CUB had actually negotiated a settlement with We Energies in 2022. And the PSC rejected it. Even though they rejected it, they took a lot of the elements of that settlement and said, we like this thing that CUB came up with. We like this thing. There's just different ways of slicing the apple, if you will.
Yeah.
But then this year, we're not sure if there'll be a settlement in 2024 or not. As once this case develops, they're going to come in 2024 and ask for more, but we just don't know how much yet. We don't know what path that case will take yet.
Great.
But we'll be there.
So with CUB, besides advocating for the ratepayers, you guys also kind of educate us, give us tips on maybe cutting some costs or
exactly.
That. So what could we do?
Well, there's a bunch of things that people can do that are, one of the things we want to make sure is people get on the right rate plan. Mm-hmm. So there's a special rate called time of use, which is kind of like a nights and weekends rate. So if you can shift your energy use, like washing your dishes, washing your laundry, washing your clothes, if you have an electric vehicle, charging your electric vehicle, you'd pay a premium during the middle of the day on a weekday. But at nights, in the early mornings or on the weekends, you'd have much lower rates. So just a little bit of behavior switch, you could actually save a bunch on your bill just by switching to this other rate. All the utilities have these great rates, but most people don't know about them. So that's why that's the first thing I want to talk about is make sure you're on the right rate for you. And if you can take some of those energy intensive things that you're doing around the house and just shift them into later in the day or the evening, you can save a bunch of money.
Oh, wow.
So that's one simple thing anybody can do. And then We like to promote the Focus on Energy program, which is the statewide energy efficiency program. And any We Energies customer can get a free energy pack from Focus every single year. They don't often know that. So that's one of the things I like to say when I come on shows like this, is you just go on focusonenergy.com and we might need your account number, your We Energies account number, have that ready. But you can get a free energy pack, so it's going to have insulation, or it's going to have some energy-saving light bulbs or smart power strips. So that actually, if you want to have that TV going, but you want to have certain things you can turn off by using the smart power strip, you can take advantage of that. There are a lot of cool things that are available. If people have more money to spend to save on energy, I mean, everybody should be insulating their attics and their basements. Walk around your house and feel where it's drafty. Feel where you're not comfortable, and you'll know that that's where you're taking that heated energy that's coming in the winter, and it's going right out the door, right through their walls.
Yeah, that's dollars walking away.
Those are dollars. Those are big dollars. So that's why we want to promote insulation and air sealing, and there are going to be a lot of new incentives coming. We think in 2024, later in 2024. We're not sure exactly the timing. But the Inflation Reduction Act that Congress passed has a ton of new incentives that the Focus on Energy program is going to be rolling out for insulation, for heat pumps, which is a new kind of heating and cooling technology that is next generation after traditional furnaces. There's a lot of incentives that are coming to Wisconsin. We just don't know the exact time frame yet.
Oh, that's something to look for.
And because of that law, there are already tax credits available. So somebody who can go out and get an energy audit. So if you find out your house is really drafty, you can actually hire an energy auditor to come in, and they'll use an infrared camera to go around your house, and they'll find where your problem spots are, and then you can take that and make a plan for what changes can I make around the house to improve my efficiency in the next couple of years.
Oh, wow. That's great. Now, you guys, sometimes you go to groups and you speak to groups, right?
Yeah, like optimist clubs or Rotaries, and neighborhood groups. So I've spoken at the Walnut Way weekly meetings in the Lindsay Heights neighborhood. And we come in with, 10 ways to save, or sometimes we do policy talks, but we'd love to be able to get the word out around Milwaukee and the region, and communicate that even more.
What should people do to get you to their group?
So they can email me directly, content@cubwi.org. They can, and then we will reach out and try to set something up. We're excited about. We also do what we call utility bill clinics. They're kind of like lunch and learns, but you bring us your bill, we'll actually look at and educate you on what's on the bill,
right,
but also maybe look for ways to save. And so we do that as part of our consumer education as well.
So I guess another bottom line, besides all the savings that you've given me, so that's great. And there are a few things that I need to do right away. People need to, instead of waiting till the rates go up and then getting upset and things are done, they can proactively become involved and maybe, to give their input to the PSC or, talk to you guys.
Right.
How can they become actively involved?
Well, that's what we want. We want when the utilities, when it's all jargon that people don't understand, then the other side, the utilities win and the consumers don't win. We want more public participation. So they should follow our what we do on our blog or our podcast. We send out updates to all of our members to our email list, and they can join us by donating money to our nonprofit, because we're a nonprofit.
So we just ran out of time. So give me that email.
cubwi.org is our website.
There you go.
There we go.
All right.
That's where you can get more information.
You have been a wealth of information, so thank you so much for coming on, Tom.
Thank you.
This has been really educational for me.
Glad to do it.
So I appreciate it. Tom Content And he is the executive director of Citizens Utility Board. Thanks for all that you guys do.
Thank you.
And thank you for joining us for another edition of the 411 Live. Remember, we're a nonprofit organization. If you're so inclined to help us out, go to our website, the411live.org. Until next time, I'm Beverly Taylor, and this is the 411 Live. Real people, real talk. If you would like to check out past episodes, there are many ways. Go to your favorite podcast platform. Follow us on Twitter and Instagram. Like and watch us on Facebook. Watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you have suggestions for future episodes, go to our website, the411live.org.